Good evening and welcome to the July 23rd, 2024 combined rescheduled work session and regular meeting of the Gaston County Board of Commissioners. My name is Chad Brown and I serve as the chairman of the board as well as the commissioner from the Riverbend Township. I would like to thank our viewers and welcome everyone from Spectrum Cable and AT&T for making it possible for our citizens. For our television audience and live stream audience, I would like to present your Gaston County Commissioners beginning on my far right.
Alan Fraley, Cherryville Township.
Good evening, Ronnie Worley, South Point Township.
Kathy Coniger, Dallas Township.
Kim Johnson, Gastonia Township.
Good evening, Bob Hovis, Crowders Mountain Township.
And good evening, Tom Kigger, Gastonia Township.
Thank you all. The next part of the agenda is the invocation Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll please rise for the invocation given by Commissioner Hovis, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be given by a special family, Miss Lacey, Mia, Reed, and Cal. So make sure when it comes y'all's time, you say it loud, okay?
Please bow with me. Gracious Father, we come to you tonight to conduct the county's business. Father, we continue to ask for your mercy and continued blessings. Father, we ask that all of those in our county who need it, please give them your special touch of healing, as you have many of us here today. Father, continue to bless us, continue to enrich Gaston County, and continue to help guide us with your faith, your wisdom, and your service. We ask that in Christ's name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the reason that was so special tonight is because the next item on the agenda is the introductory of a gentleman. If you guys don't know, as many of you know, the board voted on June 25th meeting to appoint Matt Roten to the position of county manager effective August 5th. Matt has been a county for nearly 11 years and served as deputy manager, assistant manager, started with Gaston County as an intern in the finance department. So Matt has a new role, which is going to be instituted on August the 5th. So we look forward to seeing him. But his family is here tonight with him. And Matt, if you want to go down to the dais and you can introduce that and your family and take care of that. But Matt has been with us for these 11 years and been an instrumental part of everything we've had through government and going on. So very, very proud to welcome Matt Roten as our new county manager.
Well, thank you. I will introduce my family at the end, but as I stand here before you today, it's with immense gratitude and a profound sense of responsibility as I accept the role of county manager for Gaston County. It's a significant occasion, not only for me personally, but for the journey that's brought me here. And so I'd like to take this time and opportunity to extend my gratitude to the people who helped me along the way. First and foremost, I want to express my deepest gratitude to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. It is my faith that has guided me through every challenge and triumph, providing me with strength and wisdom along the way. Without His grace, I would not be standing here today. I'd also like to extend my heartfelt appreciation to the Board of Commissioners for entrusting me with a significant role. Your confidence in my abilities are both humbling and motivating. I am committed to working collaboratively with each of you to achieve the goals you set for Gaston County and to serve the community with integrity and dedication. To Dr. Eagle, your leadership and contributions have laid a strong foundation for us to build upon. Your commitment to the county's progress and your vision have set us on a path toward continued success. Thank you for your mentorship and trusting me to work alongside you for the last 5 years. I would not be here today without the belief and support of Bryant Moorhead and Earl Mathers, who first gave me an opportunity with Gaston County. Your faith in my abilities and opportunities you have provided me with have been instrumental in my journey. Thank you for giving me a chance and to prove myself and for believing in me. Also, to Chuck Moore, it's kind of ironic sitting up there beside you tonight, as Chuck has been a constant mentor to me this whole time that I've been here. And for that, Chuck, thank you. To my parents, your unwavering support and values you instilled in me have been the foundation upon which I've built my life. I knew this part would be hard. There's a deep sense of sadness that my father is not here with us today, but I know he's here with us in spirit. His love, encouragement, and sacrifices has shaped the person that I am today. Thank you, Dad, for believing in me and encouraging me to follow my dreams. To my mother, your support has been equally invaluable. I am grateful for your constant love and guidance. I hope you know how much I appreciate you and always being there for me no matter what and helping me find my passion. To my in-laws who are also here, your support and encouragement have been a source of great comfort and strength. Your belief in me has been a blessing, and I appreciate you trusting me to be your daughter's husband and your grandchildren's father. To my children, Mia, Reed, and Cal, you are my inspiration. Your boundless energy, curiosity, and joy remind me daily of the importance of working toward a better future. Everything I do with you in mind, striving to create a community where you and all the children can thrive. Finally, to my wonderful wife, you are my rock, my sounding board, my greatest supporter. Your love and understanding have been instrumental in our journey. I'm deeply grateful for your passion and for standing by my side through every step of this path. The last year has been difficult for us and our family, but you have never wavered, and you're the strongest person that I know. If I've learned anything from life, it is that sometimes the darkest times can bring us to the brightest plans. You have always had my back and told me the things that I needed to hear. This is not just my journey and my dream, it is ours, and I appreciate you more than you know. I love you. To the citizens of Gaston County, you are the reason that we do what we do, and we are committed to continuous improvement as we serve to make your lives better every day. To the staff, your hard work, dedication, and passion are what make this county a great place to live and work. I am honored to lead such a talented and committed team. Together, we will face challenges head-on and seize opportunities with enthusiasm and innovation. It is my vision that as an organization, people may forget what we say, and they may forget what we do, but they will never forget how we make them feel. Please remember that everyone that you meet is fighting a battle that we know nothing about, and we are often the first people that they interact with when they are on their worst days. Let's continue to support one another, work collaboratively, and strive for excellence in everything that we do. As we move forward, let us to be guided by faith, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to our community. Together we can achieve the impossible and make Gaston County an even better place for all of our citizens. Commissioners, again, thank you for this incredible opportunity. I am excited to embark upon this journey with you, and I look forward to all we will accomplish together. May God bless Gaston County, and may He guide us in our efforts to serve this wonderful community. Thank you.
Matt, if you'll,
Yep, you want me to introduce them?
yes, please.
So, my wife Lacey is holding our middle child, Reed. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. My father-in-law, also named Matthew. I'll hold that against him. Mother-in-law Karen, oldest daughter Mia, and my mother Joyce is holding our youngest Cal. So,
Matt, if y'all will come up, we'll have
Yeah.
a picture.
Please.
Chuck, you and Donna.
Balance us out.
Yes.
The next item is proclamations, commendations, awards, and certificates. We'll now call on Commissioner Worley to proclaim the week of July 14th through the 20th, 2024 is National Deflection Week. Commissioner Worley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief, are you coming up also? Yeah.
Of the regular meeting of the Gaston.
Good evening, everyone. This is a proclamation to proclaim July 14th through the 20th as National Deflection Week. Whereas the Police Treatment and Community Collaborative is the national and global voice of the field of deflection, and whereas the PTACC, National Leadership Council, voted to designate the third week of July as National Deflection Week to be held annually in every nation, whereas there are now approximately 1,600 deflection sites in the United States, including in Gaston County. Through the Gaston County LEAD initiative, whereas the deflection is an important element in the 2024 Office of National Drug Control Policy, U.S. National Drug Control Strategy to combat our nation's opioid and fentanyl epidemic. Whereas deflection is an early upstream approach that does not wait for nor need an arrest, overdose, or crisis situation before taking action to help people facing the challenge of drug misuse or mental health disorders. Whereas deflection continues to grow rapidly as a community-led public safety and public health strategy that offers to police and communities alike a third option instead of arrest or inaction when it is clear that a person needs help and support. Whereas deflection creates 6 distinct pathways for people to rapidly connect to treatment, housing, and services in order to achieve recovery. Whereas deflection saves public dollars, reduces drug-related property crime, and reduces deaths. Now therefore be it resolved that the Gaston County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaim the week of July 14 through 20 as National Deflection Week in Gaston County, and this will be adopted tonight. And I'll ask Adrian or Chief Zill to make comments concerning that. Appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate what you do. Thank you very much.
Good evening, all. I just want to thank the commissioners, the Gaston County government, and the citizens for the support of our deflection initiative, which is law enforcement assisted diversion. And so what we do is when people are facing arrest or when officers are encountering people with substance use disorder or mental health challenges, they can link them to help, and we do case management to help them. So we're happy to be a part of the community, helping resolve some of the issues that we face. And we've been in operation now right at 1 year, and we are looking to expand so that we can help more of the community. So we thank you for the support and the opportunity. Thank you.
It is a great pleasure for the Gaston County Commissioners to honor citizens who have unselfishly given of their time, talent, skills, and energies in service as an appointee to one of our many boards and commissions. This type of service is the foundation for citizen involvement, and our county government is helping shape the future of our community. We gratefully acknowledge the work of the following individuals, and a certificate of appreciation has been forwarded to them. Scott Beam, Dr. Gina Ramsey, Dr. Russell Sprinkles, Health and Human Services Board, Roberta Fail, Gail Hopkins, Clara Lowry, Nursing Home Community Advisory Committee, Linda McConnell, Workforce Development. I would also be remiss if I didn't recognize someone. Porter, come up here, please, son. This is Porter Ratchford. He is, tonight, he is part of his engagement he is on his STAR badge, looking for his life skills badge to his Eagle Scout later on in the year. This is Porter Ratchford. Turn around and they'll all be able, but as part of a government meeting, as part of his initiative, his father Brent is here. And so they're taking on the meeting tonight as part of his requirements for that. So we're wishing Porter the best of the best to be the next Eagle Scout in our community. So congratulations. Our next item is citizens' recognitions. A portion of the board's agenda is set aside for the purpose of allowing citizens the opportunity to offer comments and suggestions. The comment period is not intended to require the commission or staff to answer any questions or provide a response. Questions requiring response shall be answered as soon as possible through the county manager's office. Citizens' recognition tonight will be limited to 3 minutes. As I call your name, please step to the podium and state your name and address for the record. The first citizen signed up to speak is Sarah Edwards. As Miss Edward makes her way up, I think that was it.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Edwards. I live at 129 Abernathy Road in Stanley, and I have been a resident of Gaston County for the last 4.5 years. I am here to speak to you this evening about an epidemic not only in Gaston County, but in North Carolina and the rest of the United States: pet overpopulation. According to bestfriends.org, a dog or cat is killed in an American animal shelter every 90 seconds because it does not have a home, and his or her time at the shelter to find a home has sadly run out. It breaks my heart to see Gaston County Animal Control's Facebook posts of wonderful, healthy dogs who are on the euthanasia list due to no fault of their own. According to bestfriends.org, North Carolina euthanized over 38,000 animals in shelters across the state in 2023. While the euthanasia rate at Gaston County Animal Control has gone down to about 10 to 12% of animals entering the shelter, this is still one healthy pet too many. 2 or 3 dogs were on Gaston County's euthanasia list today. I am unsure if these innocent souls were rescued or if they died scared, alone, and unloved in the shelter this afternoon. In addition to the animals euthanized in shelters, there are also countless of dogs, and especially cats, who never entered the shelter and died a painful death alone on the streets. There are thousands of stray and feral cats who live outside of restaurants, big box stores, and in neighborhoods in Gaston County. Female kittens can go into heat and get pregnant as young as 4 months old. A cat can be born in the spring and be a teen mom by the end of the year. Due to our mild winters, kitten season doesn't really end in North Carolina. Intact male cats will fight over these female cats in heat, causing injury and passing on diseases. According to the Humane Society of the United States, 80% of kittens born outside are born outside, and 75% of these kittens die before they reach 6 months old. I see I only have 38 seconds left. Want to say a huge thank you to the Spay Neuter Clinic and everybody there. I trap feral cats, and I get them fixed to help control the pet population here. We as a community are failing every healthy animal who is euthanized in a shelter, every mama cat or dog who gives birth to an unplanned and unwanted litter, and every cat who is abandoned. And what I'm asking for Gaston County to do is to pass mandatory spay-neuter laws or ordinances. It's just gotten to the point, one animal euthanized in the shelter is one animal too many. I have information to provide to everybody that I printed out about spay-neuter. Pardon?
Motion made by Commissioner Worley, seconded by Commissioner Hovis. All in favor? You'll please just hand those to the clerk, ma'am.
Okay, I only printed 4 copies. I
That's
didn't
okay.
know
We'll
how
do
many
that.
there were.
Thank
so.
you.
Yep, you're welcome. Thank you. Okay, thank you. And I'm more than happy to speak with anybody afterwards. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is presentations, the McAdenville redevelopment project update. Jessica Trumbull, the Executive Director or Vice President of Investment Operations for FAR Corporate, and Mr. John Searby, Executive Director of the Daniel Stowe Botanical Gardens, and Mr. Eric Clay and Bob Clay are here. At your pleasure, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for the time. I'm Jessica Trombold. I am with FAR based here in McAdenville, and I joined the company in April of this year, so a few months ago, from Nuveen Real Estate in Charlotte. And I lead their real estate investments. And today we're here to talk about our vision for McAdenville and how that vision is really meant to create a year-round destination in that town, and how that really aligns with our goal of trying to bring travel and tourism in Gaston County to our new office building in McAdenville. So we had a presentation. I'm not sure if that will be on screen or.
Coming behind you there, ma'am.
Yeah.
It's open right here.
Control L. There you go.
Thank you very much. So the first image that we wanted to show here on the screen is really just an image to show what McAdenville was in 2005 and what McAdenville is today. So we thought this was the best way to really depict what we're trying to do and our vision to reimagine McAdenville. At one point, about 20 years ago, there was over 650,000 square feet of textile manufacturing space in the town. And I'll talk through a couple different things that have happened over the past few decades, but you see today, there's a lot of land there for redevelopment, and we have a vision for what that could be to come to fruition over the next few years. So starting back in kind of the late 1990s, there was 2, like we said, different mills within McAdenville that were the textile mills for Far and Far Yarns. Those mills were demolished in 2006, and then there was also a residential community called McAdenville Village that was redeveloped near McAdenville Lake in the town. And that was really the start of really the reimagining of what this town can become. In 2015, there was a restoration of downtown McAdenville to create retail and commercial spaces for the town, and that really started to create an amenity base for residents and for visitors. And then in 2022, there was the completion of Dynamo 31, which is our Class A office building, and that's really what we're here to talk about today in terms of how that Class A office building could be a great destination for travel and tourism. And in 2023, there was a completion of the Carolina Thread Trail extension within McAdenville, as well as a restoration of McAdenville Lake, and a lot of other improvements that were done to the town. And we thought it was important to touch a little bit on South Fork River corridor and the trail that's being developed. So it's 23 miles of trail that we think will create a regional destination between Spencer Mountain and the Daniel Stowe Botanical Garden. And because of where McAdenville is located, it really sits at the center of this trail, and we think that it could become a really interesting trailhead and access point for a lot of different visitors that come into the county. And what we think is interesting here is that there's also some legislative support for it becoming a state trail designation, which we think further enhances the ability for this trail to become a true destination for the county, and for us to really find a way to create a place that could be a trailhead for that trail. So that leads us into kind of the master plan and the vision that we have for McAdenville. And that vision, we really set a vision statement, if you will, in terms of what we want to achieve within the town. And it's really about building a year-round destination. McAdenville, as I'm sure most of the people in this room know, is really known for Christmastown. And so how do we take that brand and that ethos and create something that really feels year-round? And so within the town, we have 65-plus acres, which is really an opportunity to redevelop. And we have several different uses planned. We're still in early phases of planning and conceptual development, but we are thinking about uses such as for sale, for rent, residential, retail, food and beverage space, event space, a large riverfront park that can accommodate larger regional and local events, as well as the potential for additional hospitality uses and/or additional office uses. So we really have a vision to bring the town into a place that can be walkable, river-focused, have green space, and really be a place that can be a top kind of tourism and visitor destination within Gaston County. And we think that the ability to really control 65-plus acres in this area gives us a unique opportunity to do that. We wanted to share just a conceptual image of the public art that we're envisioning for McAdenville. We think public art alongside the trail and as part of the Riverfront Park will add a really interesting element and a way to drive a little bit more creative placemaking within Gaston County and create a destination. So we wanted to share some images of what you could see from Interstate 85, as well as what you can see when you're standing really next to this along the river and along the dam in McAdenville. And lastly, we talked a little bit about this, but again, like our goal here is to create a year-round destination and really an outdoor-centric destination that really pays homage to the South Fork River, to a lot of the things that John Searby and the Catawba Riverkeeper are doing in McAdenville today, and to start to really bring more events and tourism to this place through the investment that we plan to make in this town over the next several years. So with that, I'll turn it over to John to talk a little bit about his vision.
Thanks, Jess. Thanks, commissioners and everyone in attendance. My name is John Searby. I'm the executive director of Catawba Riverkeeper. And for those of you who are not familiar with us, we moved our headquarters to McAdenville in 2021. And then in 2022, transitioned from a temporary location in McAdenville into the Dynamo 31 development in downtown. We are the anchor tenant of that project. We have 5,000 square feet of the 25,000 square feet in the property. And our move from Charlotte to McAdenville was really a strategic move for our organization. Not only to be on the banks of the river that we preserve, protect, and restore every day, but also because McAdenville is a very critical crossroads for us as an organization. Right on 85, we can get up 321 to the mountain portions of our river basin. We can hop on 485 to be the South Carolina portions of our river basin, or back into Charlotte, where a lot of our work done, or up 85 to Raleigh, where we do a lot of work as well. And so that was a very strategic location for us. As we've gotten to know the FAR companies and built that partnership with them, it has also become apparent to us that there's a lot of opportunity to grow outdoor recreation through access to the river, not only in McAdenville, but throughout Gaston County. And through partnership with Daniel Stowe Botanical Garden, where I also serve as the executive director, we've been critically important in helping connect the South Fork Corridor Trail and making Gaston County a very outdoor recreation-centric tourist destination. I serve on the Gaston County Travel and Tourism Board as well, and the opportunity for travel and tourism to have a home in McAdenville next to these important river amenities, these recreation amenities, and maybe most importantly, to connect to the vision that McAdenville has to become a place of tourism all year round. We have some amazing downtowns in Gaston County, but none is more accessible to travel and tourism than downtown McAdenville because of the access to 85. So I'm here to be a case study of how important McAdenville can be to the growth of tourism in the county, and to kind of be a witness to what FAR says they will do, they will do. They've been a fantastic partner and have been great to work with thus far. Dynamo is a great home for Catawba Riverkeeper, and I hope it will be for the county as well.
Well, thank you very much for considering this opportunity, and we certainly hope we could answer any questions that you may have at a future date, and certainly we look forward to next month's commission meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any questions from the board at this time? Tom?
Not a question. I just want to thank you all for coming out, and I think most of us attended an individual, or a couple of us. I know Bob and I were one night with our upper management. Thanks for the hospitality, and I think it's a project that's worthwhile us taking a very serious look at. You know, we've got to look for down the road, not just tomorrow, but years to come. This is going to be something that Americans, Gastonians, McAdenvillites, or whatever we want to call them, it's going to be more and more in demand to be outside, I think. And again, thanks for the group for coming out. I wish Mr. Christopherson could have been here, but thank him for us also.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you guys for coming tonight.
Thanks so much, Chad.
The next item on the agenda is discussions with the sheriff, Chad Hawkins. I know the sheriff had been, want to thank him and his staff for everything that's happened over the past couple of weeks. They have been great and resilient in those meetings and doing things, so I want to thank you for your availability for that. First and foremost, before it starts, thank you, Sheriff, for coming. I wanted to state any miscommunication about the sheriff's office being under investigation, because that is not what this was. This here was a fact-finding so we could help all citizens of Gaston County, and you guys have been tremendous on making sure that all those questions and stuff had been answered. I know Matt had been present in a lot of those, doing different things, the finance department, along with your staff. So thank you to your staff who attended those things. I would like to start the conversation by saying I appreciate the dialogue that we've had over the past couple of months, members of the board and staff and sheriff. I think we had individual meetings with not just you and ourselves, Commissioner Hovis and I before the budget season came out. So these are here ongoing, and I'm just grateful that I think now Commissioner Hovis stated it even before we got into it all. The first time probably that we had all got to meet collaboratively to work on things that are happening since this is some of the things that are going on. So I want to thank you guys for the willingness to that. But there are several variables that have contributed to some situations that are going on that we're working on. Those variables are with control of the county government along with the sheriff's department. So we do share that as a resource of things that are happening and working on. I think the biggest thing is how we figure out what those things are and how we can correct them. So I want to thank you for your willingness to be a part of that. We're all part of the same team here in Gaston County. I want to thank our board for you guys making the availability to be involved in those meetings that we had with the sheriff. And I think it's important that we ask the necessary questions. I know sometimes people get the cart a little ahead of the horse and things, and they get out and try to figure out what's going on. But under no time was this an investigation. This was more of a fact-finding mission to find that out. So I want to turn it over to the sheriff and let him be a part of that. So thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners, staff, and citizens of Gaston County. First of all, it's an honor and a privilege to serve as the Sheriff of Gaston County. And I would like to thank the board and the staff for their willingness to sit down so that we all had a better understanding and some of the challenges and opportunities that we face at the Sheriff's Office. As in law enforcement today, we face many challenges and, with crime rising and drugs and all those things. So there's a lot going on, there's a lot of moving parts. So I do appreciate the board sitting down and taking the time to listen. As Chairman Brown mentioned, there were several variables that contributed to the situation at hand. And as the sheriff, I take full responsibility for the variables that was on the sheriff's side. And I appreciate the county looking into the variables that was on their side. So I do appreciate that. At the end of the day, I am the sheriff and the buck stops with me. And I take that very seriously. So I appreciate the opportunities. Through this process, we identified areas of improvement, and we don't foresee anything like this ever happening again. I put together, have a very solid team of people. We have been digging through budgets, documents. We have probably driven budget and finance crazy, but they have been wonderful to work with, and for all of us getting a better understanding, and for the commissioners meeting with us individually as well to get a better understanding and actually getting to know each other a little better. So I appreciate the board. My staff and I will continue to work with county staff on improvement on both sides as we identified some issues. I appreciate the board listening to some of the workload drivers. As we discussed before, our mental transports are on path to be tripled than what they were in 2022. So we discussed that. We had 300-something mental transports in 2022, almost 800 last year. We're sitting at 6-something right now. We're on track to at least have about 1,100. One of the other issues that we had some major overdose and drug issues going on, and we put together a team, and we've been successful in from December of 2022 till April of 23, we had 76 overdoses in our jail. To date, we've had 7. You're always going to have issues. You're going to have drugs getting in, but we've been very successful and being able to get that situation under control. So I do appreciate the board working with us on that. Although challenges like this can sometimes be unfortunate, I think it's a good opportunity for growth and just a good opportunity in general for everyone. I know my staff has learned a lot about the budget, the processes, and those things. So I do appreciate it, and I'm going to continue to do my job as a sheriff to make sure that our citizens, their safety and well-being is first and foremost. And so I thank you, and as our jail population continues to increase, we're averaging around 650 a day. So, there's a lot of challenges there. So I appreciate the staff and the Board of Commissioners working with us on that.
Thank you again for coming. Like I said, I think the biggest piece of this is looking at some of the things, and on behalf, I know Dr. Eagle, myself, went and we spoke with, and Matt went as well over to the hospital. We've spoken with them a little bit about trying to work on some anomalies with there and also with gyms. So those are some of the things that have been some of the drivers that are happening here. So we're working on that. But just wanted to give the opportunity of speaking back and forth. I think that's going to be the thing going forward that we talked about with Matt, was trying to make sure that communication line was open so we can always see how to help each other. Like you said, I think the biggest thing is being a team. And as we move forward with that, that'll be the biggest anomaly with that. So, are there any questions from the board at this time? Seeing none, I want to thank you for coming today. Like I said, we'll continue to put these things out there, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the future to be able to get these remedied. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other matters that need to come before this board at this time? Seeing none, I will adjourn the work session. This concludes our rescheduled work session for tonight. The regular meeting will convene immediately. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please remit those to Donna S. Buff at 704-866-3196. I'm going to take a 2-minute recess, please, Donna. will now call to order the July regular meeting. The first item on the agenda is public hearings. The county commission will take citizens' comments on 4 public hearings: zoning map change REZ-177, zoning map change REZ-178, zoning map change REZ-179, and zoning map change REZ-182. Before we begin, let me outline the rules of procedure. Citizens wishing to make comment will be recognized by the chair and then requested to step to the microphone for their comments. Citizens will state their name and address. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. All questions shall be directed to the chair for response. The chair shall rule on all points of order. Do I hear a motion to go into public hearing? Motion made by Commissioner Hovis, seconded by Commissioner Johnson. All in favor? We are now in public hearing. The county commission will now take citizens' comments on public hearing, zoning map change REZ-177, Joshua Wesley Pierce, the applicant. Ms. Peyton Wiggins, Planner 2, Building and Development Services, will provide a brief overview. Once she has completed her comments, citizens' comments will be taken. Ms. Wiggins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. REZ-24-04-02-00177 is a general rezoning request for parcel ID number 308-225 located off of Jackie Black Road. The applicant is Joshua Wesley Pierce, and he's requesting to rezone the entire 2-acre parcel from the R1 Single Family Limited Zoning District to the R2 Single Family Moderate Zoning District. The first map shows that the subject lot is located south of Cherryville, right along the Gaston County, Gaston County, Cleveland County line. The aerial photography shows the lot is currently vacant and heavily wooded. Surrounding properties include a mix of housing types, both stick-built and modular homes, as well as vacant and pastures. The subject property was subdivided under the family exemption rule in September of 2022 and is accessed off of Jackie Black Road, a private right-of-way. Please note a majority of Jackie Black Road and the properties among it are within Cleveland County and fall under their zoning jurisdiction. The zoning map shows the subject parcel is currently zoned R1 and has a pocket of R2 and C1 and I3 to the north. While the area is zoned R1, it's important to note that the R1 district was the default zoning district for the county at the initial adoption of the current ordinance. This area does have existing non-conforming manufactured homes. This map shows who was notified with information about tonight's public hearing. Notices were mailed out on July 8th, as well as a sign was placed on site, all in accordance with general statutes. And this slide shows the names of the property owners. The lot will be served by a private well and septic system, and the subject property has access off of a private easement, Jackie Black Road, that comes off of an NCDOT maintained road, Sellerstown Road. The Gaston Cleveland Lincoln MPO provided a letter stating that there are no funded transportation improvement projects on the STIP, the MTP, or the CTP to any roads adjacent to the proposed site. The subject parcel is located in Area 1, rural Gaston, northwest Gaston of the Comprehensive Land Use Plan. The future land use designation is rural. This designation exemplifies Gaston County and the existing natural resources that exist throughout the jurisdiction. Residential homes are located on larger lots and are set back from the roads they front upon, and it's understood that this is the default use designation for the county. The Gaston County TRC reviewed this project and had no comments at this time. The request went to the planning board at its July 1st meeting and recommended approval by a 7-0 vote based on that this is a reasonable request and in the public interest and is consistent with the goals of the comprehensive land use plan, as it will keep the parcel residential in nature and maintain the rural feel of the community. Mr. Chairman, this concludes my presentation.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there any comments from the applicant at this time? Seeing none, are there any citizens wishing to comment on this at this time? Any questions from the Board of Commissioners? If there are no additional comments, I will now declare the public hearing closed. Just to recap, the Planning Board recommended approval by a vote of 7-0. Is there a motion to approve this? Motion made by Commissioner Fraley, seconded by Commissioner Worley. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Mr. Moore, will you please provide the consistency statement to the clerk for the record, please?
Will do so, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The County Commission will now take comments on public hearing, zoning map change, REZ-178. Anthony Franco is the applicant. Ms. Peyton Wiggins, Planner 2, Building and Development Services, will provide a brief overview Once she has completed her comments, citizens' comments will be taken. Ms. Wiggins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. REZ-24-04-18-00178 is a general rezoning request for parcel ID number 152045 located at 157 Fraley Road in Gastonia. The applicant is requesting to generally rezone the .46 acre parcel from the I-2 General Industrial Zoning District to the RS-12 Single Family 12,000 square feet zoning district. This vicinity map shows the parcel is located in between Gastonia and Bessemer City city limits along Bessemer City Road. The aerial photography shows that the parcel is wooded and within a residential road of the county. Please note that the house shown on this aerial is no longer there and was demolished approximately last summer. The parcel's current zoning is I-2 General Industrial and has an RS-12 and some C3 surrounding. Other areas nearby are in the city limits of Gastonia. The parcel, along with surrounding parcels on Fraley Road, was initially in the city of Gastonia's ETJ until 2012 when it was released to the county. Upon release, the county tried to place the same zoning district or similar zoning to the areas released. In this case, it was zoned I-2, General Industrial. However, I-2 was not the best fit for Fraley Road use-wise as it's heavily residential with single-family dwellings on most of the lots. This has led to numerous nonconformities because single-family dwellings are not allowed within this zoning district. The subject parcel previously consisted of a single-family dwelling until last summer when it was demolished. Per section 3.5.4 of the UDO, if a non-conforming single-family dwelling is abandoned, the use shall not be allowed to be reestablished. Therefore, in this case, the property owners are unable to build a new single-family dwelling on the property as the non-conformity has expired. To rebuild, a rezoning is required. Based on the existing lot size in the surrounding zoning district, staff recommends rezoning to the RS-12 single-family 12,000 square feet district. If approved, any uses in the RS-12 single-family 12,000 square feet would be permitted in accordance with standards and regulations as adopted in the UDO. This map shows who was notified with information about tonight's public hearing. Mailed notices and a sign was placed on site on July 8th, all in accordance with general statutes. And this slide shows the name of the property owners on the previous slide. The lot will be served by a private well and septic system. The subject property is along Fraley Road, which is an NCDOT maintained road. The GCL MPO reviewed this request and provided the following comments. According to the 2020-2029 STIP, there are no funded transportation improvement projects in the immediate vicinity of the site. There is a proposed 4-lane freeway from US 321 to I-85 included in the MPO's CTP. The proposed thoroughfare is an unfunded project. For more information, that was the MPO attachment was in your staff report. The subject property is located in Area 5, Scenic Gaston, Southwest Gaston of the Comprehensive Land Use Plan. The future land use designation is rural. This designation exemplifies Gaston County and the existing natural resources that exist throughout the jurisdiction. Residential homes are located on large lots and are set back from the roads they front upon. The Gaston County TRC reviewed this project and had no comments at this time. The Planning Board heard this request at its July 1st meeting and recommended approval by a 7-0 vote based on this is a reasonable request and in the public interest and is consistent with the goals of the Comprehensive Land Use Plan as it will keep the parcel residential in nature and maintain the rural feel of the community. Mr. Chairman, this concludes my presentation.
Thank you, ma'am. Any comments from the applicant at this time? Seeing none, any citizens wishing to comment? Please step to the podium, sir. Please state your name and address for the record when you get there.
I'm David Soper. I live at 157 Fraley Road. I've been there for about 17 years. 157 Fraley Road is less than a half an acre, and I'd be concerned about septic and water on that small of a lot that's only 100 feet wide, and with the adjoining properties might be affected by that. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Any other citizens wishing to comment on this matter at this time? Seeing none, any questions from the Board of Commissioners? Commissioner Hovis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't know if Mr. Skiba knows the answer to this, but This is adjacent to or within a proximity of Jenkins Quarry over there at John Jenkins. They're off of Delta Drive. Do you know, and I believe this area is part of the area that's monitored whenever there's blasting done there. So we like to talk about mines in Gaston County. But my question is, these folks are aware that that quarry is an active quarry there, and they will hear things and they will feel things.
To my knowledge, they are. We
Okay.
haven't had any questions or any concerns about that.
Just an observation.
Yes, sir.
Having worked right beside of that and knowing the effect, that's a concern. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the Board of Commissioners at this time? If there are no additional comments, I will declare the public hearing closed. Just to recap, the planning board recommended approval of 7-0. Is there a motion made by Commissioner Hovis, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Kieger? Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Mr. Moore, will you please provide a consistency statement to the clerk?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The County Commission will now take citizens' comments on public hearing, zoning map change, REZ 179, Stephen P. Mason, the applicant. I'll now ask Ms. Jamie Kimbergerloo, Director of Planning and Zoning, Building and Development Services, will provide a brief overview. Once she has completed her comments, citizens' comments will be taken. Ms. Kimbergerloo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. REZ-24-04-25-00179 is a general rezoning request from Steve Mason for parcel ID 169510. The subject parcel is 1.43 acres, and the request is for the entire parcel. Mr. Mason is requesting that his property be rezoned from R1 to the C1 Light Commercial Zoning District. The subject property is located just west of Stanley's city limits and north of Spencer Mountain and Lowell. The property was in the large section of Stanley's ETJ area that was released to the county a few years ago. The orthophoto map shows the two structures that are currently on the site. The structures appear in historical images starting in the 1970s, which makes both of them existing non-conforming structures. The 2024 collection of photos shows damage to the structure towards the front of the lot, which is the commercial structure. GIS also shows a similar commercial structure just across the street. The zoning map shows a mix of residential, commercial, and industrial zoning districts in the area. Dallas-Stanley Highway has large lots ranging from 0.5 acres to 6 acres and a mix of residential and light commercial uses. The residential homes sit back on the road, and the commercial uses appear to be closer to the road. This map shows who all was notified with information about tonight's public hearing, and these are the mailing addresses for the property owners shown on the previous slide. Staff has not received any calls or inquiries about this request. The subject site has a private well and private septic system. Environmental Health has stated that the property owner or developer will need to do an existing system approval, or an ESA, with Environmental Health to determine if there is a septic system that will accommodate any proposed uses before obtaining building permits. Dallas-Stanley Highway is a 60-foot right-of-way owned and maintained by NCDOT. Additional TRC comments were provided by the GCLMPO. They provided their standard comment letter, which has been included as an attachment in your staff report. Building inspections also provided comments saying commercial zoning and building permits would need to be obtained before any new commercial uses can be established in that front structure. No comments were provided from our site plan review team, natural resources, or EMS. Staff does not have a history of prior zoning uses of this property, as it was not in county zoning jurisdiction until 2021. Staff did find building permit records for a heat pump replacement in 2016, and tax records indicate that the primary home was built in 1971. The structure towards the front of the road, where the proposed commercial uses would go, is clearly shown in 1997 aerial photo collections. However, it looks like it may have already existed in the 1979 photo collection as well. Staff considers the existing structures as non-conforming structures, and they will be regulated under the UDO's regulations for non-conforming situations. The subject parcel is in Area 3, Riverfront Gaston Small Area Plan. Key issues for citizens in this area include the preservation of open space, road improvements, better connectivity to other areas of the county, increased job opportunities, and maintaining the rural feel of the area, as well as increased commercial opportunities. Because this property was formerly in Stanley's ETJ area, no future land use has been assigned. The closer future land use designation is rural, which matches the existing area. Rural areas are known to have larger lots with residential homes set back from the road, and they also have opportunities for light commercial and agricultural uses. If approved, any uses allowed in the C1 light commercial district would be permitted in accordance with the standards and regulations as adopted in our UDO. A copy of these uses was provided in your staff packets. The residential home would also be allowed to remain as a single-family residential home, as this use is allowed in the C1 district. The Planning Board unanimously recommended approval of this request and found it to be reasonable and in the public interest, as it is consistent with the goals of the Comprehensive Land Use Plan, as it will keep the parcel residential in nature as envisioned by the closest future land use designation, which is rural. Rural areas are classified as having large lots with farmstead-style housing set back from the roads they front upon. They also provide for opportunities of agribusiness. Mr. Chairman, this concludes my presentation.
Thank you, ma'am. Any comments from the applicant at this time? Please step to the podium, state your name and address for the record, sir.
My name is Herbael Cruz, and I come from 517 Windsor Street. I just want to introduce myself. I'm going to try to purchase the property from Mr. Mason, Steve Mason. He couldn't make it. He have a pacemaker replacement today, and I'm trying to buy the property because I actually own a small business, and I want to make the place my workshop and my showroom. So right now I'm just running my business from my home, but I want to be able to have an office, and that is what we're trying to do with the property. So I just want to rezone that and be able to bring it back to life.
Thank you. Brian, will you get his name and full address for Donna so she can have that for the record? Are there any other citizens wishing to comment on this issue at this time? Seeing none, any questions from the Board of Commissioners? If there are no additional comments, I will declare the public hearing closed. Just to recap, the Planning Board has unanimously recommended approval of this item. Do I hear a motion to approve? Motion made by Commissioner Hovis, seconded by Commissioner Kieger. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Mr. Moore, will you please provide a consistency statement?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. The County Commission will now take citizens' comments on public hearing zoning map change REZ-182. Jonathan Wiley is the applicant. I will now ask Ms. Jamie Kimberglou, Director of Planning and Zoning, Building and Development Services, provide a brief overview. Once she has completed her comments, citizens' comments will be taken. Ms. Kimberglou.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. REZ-24-06-05-00182 is a general rezoning request from Jonathan Wiley for parcel ID 166759. The property owner of this parcel is Victory Hill Baptist Church, and Mr. Wiley is the pastor of this church. A copy of an authorization letter has been included in your staff packets. The subject parcel is 2.68 acres, and the request is to rezone the entire parcel from the R1 zoning district to the R2 zoning district. The subject property is located between Dallas and High Shoals. The orthophoto map shows the church campus across the street from the subject parcel, along with single-family homes in the vicinity. To the north of the subject property is an existing non-conforming development off of Sam's Trail. There is a mix of single-family and two-family homes or duplexes in this development. Because of the existing road frontage and acreage of this lot, the property most likely cannot be subdivided, as it would not be able to secure road frontage for two lots. If an easement was created to access the back half of this property, the minimum lot size for parcels off of an easement would also not be met. The light blue area on the back of this map, I guess to the west of it, is the South Fork River. There are no flood areas on the parcel, and it is located within the South Fork Protected Watershed. So our watershed administrator would complete additional reviews at the time of permitting. The rezoning map shows that the subject parcel is currently zoned R1. Church uses are allowed in all zoning districts, so changing the zoning district will not create a non-conforming situation. There are C1, R2, and R3 zoned lots to the north of the subject property. If the request is approved, any uses allowed in the R2 district would be permitted in accordance with the standards and regulations adopted in the UDO. Staff has found that there are 19 additional uses that are allowed in the R2 zoning district, which are not allowed in the R1 zoning district. Of these 19 uses, only 2 uses are allowed by right with supplemental regulations. These are the uses for a double-wide manufactured home and a group home. Only 1 use requires a conditional rezoning, and that is the planned unit development use. And then all other uses require the issuance of a special use permit, which is granted by the Board of Adjustment after specific findings have been met. This map shows who all was notified with information about tonight's public hearing. And this slide shows the contact information for the parcels highlighted in the last slide. Staff has received 1 email about the request, with the main concern being the placement of manufactured homes on the back section of this lot. Staff replied that only 1 residential structure would be permitted to be placed on the lot per zoning regulations and existing conditions of the lot. The lot will be serviced by a private well and private septic system, and access to the lot is off of an NCDOT-owned and maintained road. The subject parcel is located in Area 2, which is the North 321's Gaston Small Area Plan. Key issues for citizens in this area include the preservation of open space, road improvements, and better connectivity to other areas of the county, more transportation alternatives, preservation of agricultural, and maintaining the rural feel of the community. There's also a goal to steer development towards existing infrastructure and areas immediately surrounding towns and cities. The future land use designation for this area is rural. TRC comments were received from Environmental Health, Natural Resources, and the GCLMPO. Environmental Health stated that the property owner has made an application for an improvement permit or septic permit, and that was made on June 19th, 2024. They are currently working on soil evaluations for the site. Natural Resources also stated that the applicant and property owner would need to complete a single lot form prior to beginning any work on the site. The GCLMPO provided their standard comment letter, and there are no funded transportation improvement projects near the site on the STIP, the MTP, or the CTP. This letter has also been included with your staff report. Staff finds that the proposed request meets the goals and visions of the Comprehensive Land Use Plan. The Planning Board unanimously recommended approval of this request and found it to be a reasonable request and in the public's interest, as it is consistent with the goals of the Comprehensive Land Use Plan and will keep the parcel residential in nature as envisioned by the future land use designation. Mr. Chairman, this concludes my presentation.
Thank you, ma'am. Any comments from the applicant at this time? If you please state your name and address for the record, sir. You can use the church as well. You don't have to use your home address.
My name is Brett Wiley. I reside at 1012 Alder Ridge Lane in Dallas, and we're discussing our church, Victory Hill Baptist Church at 2300 Philadelphia Church Road. I am the pastor of the church, and want to thank you for consideration of the proposal and appreciate what you do. Our request is to rezone the property behind our bus garage, and the reason why is our church is growing, and in our current economy, staff housing could be complicated for us, so we feel like a parsonage is the best use of that property. And as far as timing and cost efficiency, stick-built would be quite complicated. Parsonage would be used to house church staff as well as visiting pastors and missionaries if necessary. And we have a long-standing tradition in our community of maintaining our properties with great care. In fact, within the last year and a half, we've put tens of thousands of dollars into maintaining the property, upgrading, and making sure that we're a good fixture in our community. We appreciate also the county's requirements when it comes to a home like this. For brick skirting porch, we intend to make it a well-dressed fixture for the property that's going to be permanent in nature, and also working with professional builders for preparation and placement. And we want to be good stewards of the land that God's blessed us with. We feel this is the best use of the property at this time. And so thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, sir. Any citizens wishing to comment at this time? If you please just step to the podium, name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Sabrina Crane. I live at 2225 Philadelphia Church Road. I am the neighbor to the property and on the schedule for rezoning for review. I am here to implore you to deny the proposal rezoning of the property at 2235 Philadelphia Church Road. My family has owned the adjacent property for 46 years. We experience the privilege and the quiet country living. We continuously strive to improve our home and our surroundings to provide a place of peace and refuge for our family. The property in question is location of the old church building, which now serves as a fellowship hall. Behind that building is a large aluminum storage appearing building, and beyond that, down a hill is the proposed building site. In one account, we have been told they desire to build a home for an associate pastor. In a different account, they were considering emergency housing for the community, which only last night was denied, but confirmed the intent use of the home will be for a transient-like home for when a need arises in the church. On the application, it stated it's for a parsonage. However, the new pastor lives in a very nice home in a development that is worth mentioning is not a modular or double-wide home. This raises the question, what does a church that directly across the street owns multiple acres of flat road frontage property? What do they want to tuck away from their parishioners' site, but within immediate view of my backyard, my pool area, and my bedroom window? The average tenure of a pastor is 3 years. A youth pastor falls to 1.5. This leaves the potential of frequent turnover of individuals that are not invested in the home itself or the community around it. My research tells me that zoning ordinances are put in place to protect the safety and the peace of the residents in the area. I'm deeply concerned about the reduction of not only my property value, but more so the safety and peace and the serenity that my family has, as my family has experienced for nearly 50 years. A church attender myself, I am aware that the church is not only a place of worship, but also a place of business. A business run by men and women with a distorted lens of human desires. Why would a pastor want a parsonage to be hidden behind a storage building? I have brought photos of the site and surroundings to demonstrate the absurdity of this proposal. You may ask me, why am I fighting this zoning? Either way, they're going to be able to build a home there. To be honest, I hope it deters the action altogether. However, I understand this project may indeed move forward with current zoning, which would be a site-built home similar to those in the area, a home that will be permanent, a home more pleasing to the eye, and in turn will attract a more permanent resident that hopefully will take pride in their home as much as we do. I urge you to deny this request to rezone the property in question. I plead with you, take just a moment and think about your home, your place of refuge and privacy. Consider how important your zoning is. Do not be swayed by the use of seemingly innocent words like church or parsonage. Once this zoning is changed, it opens up doors for endless modular homes in our community. Please allow me to remind you of all those acres of land the church owns just across the street. I appreciate your consideration and the opportunity to voice my concerns. I have brought with me today a petition signed by all of our immediate neighbors, with the exception of one, because she had a professional relationship with the pastor. Along with this, previously mentioned photos are available for your review.
Motion to accept.
Motion made by Commissioner Hogan, seconded by Commissioner Worley.
Thank you.
All in favor? Please unanimous. Pastor, this hand over to the clerk, please. Mark, you want to go next?
My name is Mark Crane, 2225 Philadelphia Church Road, immediate neighbor to the property on this rezoning request. First of all, unlike the applicant has told a few of the planning committee members, we have not discussed this in approval. I've not met anyone in the neighborhood loose term, that is for this. We're adamantly opposed to building mobile homes in our community. Now, what it could lead to in the future, what's to say that something doesn't happen in all the property across the street? You never know. Planning for the future. I became aware of the possibility of this happening through flags going up on the property back there. Talked to some of the church members. They're like, hey, this could be a youth pastor, this could be a pastor, emergency housing, all over the board. So wheels get turning, we go to the planning committee. Okay, I keep hearing, I wasn't gonna bring this up, but I keep hearing the planning committee passed this 7-zip. Okay, you're not allowed to speak at the planning committee. We went there to voice our concern. That's just kind of, from what we understand, making sure the process is legal to come to here to be able to speak. So we are here again, thank you. There doesn't seem to be a clearly defined use until possibly last night. Yeah, I was told it will be a double wide for visiting pastors, visiting youth pastors, and so be it. Again, it seems weird that they want to tuck the double wide behind a big giant aluminum shed in the back of a property. Again, we got to look at it night and day. So selfish, yes. I I old schooled it. I went around to the neighbors, talked to 8 neighbors this weekend, got their opinions. No one was in favor. I've got 7 signatures on this petition. One was in agreement, but didn't want to sign. I understand. You say only 8 neighbors? Well, we're in the country. We're talking almost 20 acres amongst us. So that's why there's only 8 neighbors, but nobody's for it. Everybody wants to protect what they have. Just like the applicant mentioned, he told me they couldn't afford the stick build. Well, maybe that means you wait and you get a loan and go through the process like anyone else. You know, I'm a Christian, grew up in church. I also understand church is a business that already gets certain perks. There's no need to add an additional church perk and change the current zoning because they want to wait and raise funds like anybody else would have to. No one's saying they can't build, just want to keep the current code in place, stick build all day. We urge you to deny this request and keep the current zoning in place. Thank you.
Are there any other citizens wishing to comment at this time? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sydney Crane. I live at 2225 Philadelphia Church Road. I'm here to speak a few minutes about my concerns for this change. I would like to begin by making it clear this is not our way of stopping the progress of the church. My family and I are God-fearing people who have attended church ourselves for years. In fact, I recently returned from a mission trip to Honduras where I was able to spread the gospel myself. My family participates in many mission outreach projects and will continue to do so. I say all this to make it clear to you all here tonight that this is not a homeowner against the church. In my years of attending church and following the Lord, I have learned much about Scripture. God tells us to not only follow His law, but to follow the laws of man here on earth to bring Him glory. An example of this can be cited in the passage Romans 13:2. Consequently, he who rebels against authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and those who do so will bring judgment on themselves. This shows His desire for us to follow the government law as He created the government. So I stand before you to ask that we uphold the laws put in place. In addition to this, Christ also tells us to fulfill the law through love. In Romans 13:8-9, it is written, "Owe no one anything except to love each other, for those who love another has fulfilled the law. You shall love your neighbor as yourself." Love does no wrong to a neighbor, therefore love is fulfilling of the law. I find it hard to understand how you might be loving to even your direct neighbors as we have never met. Previously, our family was in close contact with the pastor of the church. We kept watch over both properties on either side of the street at night when trespassers or problems arose. We were able to contact the pastor, and our vigilance was always appreciated. Since the exit of the previous pastor, no such communication has been established. You may be wondering why so many from this family are speaking here tonight. This is because we are the ones directly affected by this decision. This emergency housing, transient housing, or parsonage, whichever you wish to call it, is going to be in direct view of our property. I myself am invested because I had hoped to inherit our property from my mother as she did from hers many years ago. This decision will have an immense impact on the level of privacy and comfort for whomever may be living on our property for many years to come. For these reasons, I must ask, is this request going to build the kingdom vertically to give glory to God, or horizontally to bring glory to the church and put up treasures here on earth? I hope I have presented our views clearly here tonight. I thank you all for taking time to hear, listen, and consider the statements brought before you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other citizens wishing to comment? Seeing none, any questions from the Board of Commissioners? Commissioner Kieger.
Yeah, I just need a little clarification, I think. When the first speaker spoke, and I may be wrong, but I thought he alluded to the fact that this housing would be for members of the staff. Did I hear that right? And then I'm hearing from one of the speakers that it could be with for folks coming and going. You used the word transient, I believe. Can somebody clarify this for me?
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to clarify. I think some of the confusion may come from the fact that we believe that the property will have multiple uses over the course of multiple years. Many times, as Dave stated, actually is correct, sometimes the staff that comes in to work in a church is not as permanent as a senior pastor. And so they may be there for a term of 3 to 5 years. There may be multiple Bible college students who may be housed there as assistant pastors if they're single, living there for the course of 3, 4, 5 years. And then there may be a man who actually settles there with his family. The idea is that we would have housing. The idea of emergency housing, I'm not sure where that came from. I imagine some member of our church probably who didn't fully understand the project may have spoken in that manner. The idea is sometimes if the house were not currently being used, we might have, it's usually what we would call a prophet's chamber. And we use it in place of a hotel room where we have a missionary that comes through who needs a place to stay for 3 nights. He comes and preaches at our church. He comes and speaks at other churches. And we'd be able to house him for free in that facility. And so it is housing that would be for the usage. And I'd like to comment just on the concept of why we're putting it on the piece of property we are. As beautiful as the acreage is, it doesn't have practical usage to us in any other manner. We actually already have plans for the property on the other side of the road. We're in contact right now with some builders to build a potential new auditorium because of the growth of our church, potential gymnasium, potential fellowship hall on our side of the road, and then we would be looking at renovating the facilities on the other side of the road. This, again, is the most efficient, cost-effective usage of that side of the property that we can foresee for the future. It meets some immediate needs for us and would be used, again, for staff housing. There's not really any exception to that.
I'm not trying to be difficult, but you used the word parsonage earlier.
Yes, sir.
And I'm just looking at Webster. It's a house provided by the church for its pastor. But
Correct.
that's not the case here. This would be used for many different entities.
I believe that it being used for housing for staff would still be considered a parsonage.
Well, I'm just telling you what Webster said. It said pastor. It didn't say staff.
I understand. I think Webster may be limited in his modern understanding of what the parsonage may be for, because it would be for church staff, official church staff.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Worley?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pastor, I'd just ask you, would you foresee the possibility of a time when the church would sell that piece of property?
I do not. I do not. We've had those discussions lately because of some of the plans for building and for growth. I don't foresee the potential of us selling any of the property at all. I think we'll have usage of it well into the future.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of churches in our area have sold parsonages that they have owned for long periods of time.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of churches are getting away from that. They're selling those parsonages. So I just didn't know if that could ever be a possibility. Would that be up to a board of deacons that would make that decision? Not up, obviously, to the pastor, but there's a deacon board, I'm assuming, there, right?
There is, yes, sir. And our deacon body is aware of this project. They're in support of it. One of our deacons is here tonight, Brother Roger Woods. And to be honest with you, the idea of that parsonage being used for church staff, it does have the potential, I think, of continued use over the course of time. We don't foresee any changing of hands of the property. If that were to happen, it would go through the pastor first, the body of deacons, and then there'd be an official church vote. And so that would be the process for something like that. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, I think you did, Pastor. You talked about growth on your existing property, the other side of the road. I just know that in some cases, churches say, hey, we need funds for another project, and we could sell this piece of property, and that would go a long ways toward building a fellowship hall or a new sanctuary or a gymnasium or whatever. So, but that possibly, you say it's small, but it could happen. It could happen, right?
I think there's the potential of anything in the future, sure.
Mr. Fraley?
Brian, could you come up just a minute? I just had a question that I think you probably could answer. I think some of the concern is if we make this vote and it's approved, that there'll be other homes like this and maybe multiple homes, all the property they'll be able to do, modular homes all over the other vacant land. Could you address that, please?
Yes, I think Ms. Camberglu alluded to part of it in her presentation, that there's not enough road frontage there to subdivide this property out and then end up with multiple parcels where we would have multiple mobile homes or any multiple structures on the property. So that's not an issue. One thing that I think we kind of round back to is they're doing this under a general rezoning. So anything that's allowed in this general rezoning is allowed, and even they could tell us whatever they wanted to here tonight, and they could do whatever is allowed in that general rezoning. They're not locked into anything. I wish that there was a way that we could put conditions on or to say that you can only do this, you can only do that, but when they're doing it under this general rezoning, we really don't have that authority to do so. So they're telling us they're gonna, kind of by the grace, they're telling us that they're going to put a double wide on or mobile home on, and this is what they're gonna do with it, but know that once we approve it and they leave here, they can do anything that's inside of that R2 zoning.
I got a question. How do we go about putting conditions on this?
So if the board so chose, they could deny this application and send the applicant away to say, bring us back a conditional district. It's not something that we can require because conditional zoning has to be something that is chosen by the applicant. So they could send them away with guidance that we would be more willing to look at something like that. The conditional district, and what it does is it pinpoints them down to exactly how that piece of property is going to be used and exactly how, what y'all will allow on that piece of property, and it also gives you the ability to put some conditions on. So if, for lack of a better term, if y'all want to be able to put bumpers on what can be done on that piece of property, that's the best tool to be able to do that.
I believe that's what we need to do because this is all over the place, what they're gonna put there and what could go there. I mean, a group home could end up there at some point.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Hovis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If we deny this, will they have to wait the 1 year to come back to reapply?
So the way that,
or can we ask them to withdraw their application? So then they haven't been denied and they can come back with a conditional application that shows the site plan, exactly the setbacks, the whole 9 yards.
So
I'm asking that because I'm pretty sure if we deny it, the ordinance is going to say there's a 12-month moratorium for any other action.
So the ordinance allows for a significant change, if there's a significant change in a project, and I think from going from a general rezoning to a conditional would trigger that significant change, and I think we could bring it right back.
As long as it meets your definition. I'm just, from my past history.
I would feel comfortable with that.
I would agree, it would be a separate process.
That's fine.
Because they're gonna have to go through, public hearings. Site plan, the whole 9 yards. So where, the neighbors talked about, people in the community didn't know, they'll have to go through a site plan to where they inform the neighbors of exactly what is going to go on the property and that sort of thing.
And correct me if I'm wrong, under conditional use applications, if for whatever reason they apply, we agree, everything looks good, and it never happens, they have a certain length of time to complete that development under those conditions. If not, then the property reverts to its previous zone, correct?
So under the old P-cups, that would be the case. Under this, once we do a conditional, we change that zoning district to that conditions, and those conditions ride with that property and
From now to whenever?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's the only reason I asked, because obviously things can change. No intention of the owner, but that's the reason I said the P-cups were nice that it would do that because you could understand it. But, okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I guess we're out, I'm a little out of it. It's a private property issue at the end of the day. They can do what they wanted.
Correct.
And that's where I have issue. Also, when you talk about religious liberty, it's another issue. I mean, there's a lot of different pieces of this puzzle. I just don't want to see it where we dictate how that happens.
I'll make one statement about that. The only reason that we're actually going through this rezoning is because of the type of structure that they're wanting to use for that parsonage. If they were coming in saying, we want to build a home for, we're wanting to do the same thing that they're talking about doing, but they were stick framing it, our ordinance would let it go through. We're rezoning it because of the structure type.
So I guess what I'm hearing is, if at the pleasure of the board, we go back, we don't want to deny this tonight if that's where it's at, because it does put that into a different situation. We understand we can change the rules how we want, but I don't want to do that.
You could do either tonight, and I think you'd be comfortable with it. But if we wanted to have them to withdraw, and they so choose to do that, then they could do that and bring back the conditional.
Well, if they just withdraw, we have no question. It sounds like there's a 1% chance that you're not 100% positive.
On them bringing it back under
On them having
conditional.
to wait a year.
I am actually 100%
So
positive.
if they withdrew it, we
could.
wouldn't have any issue with that.
No, he's saying he's 100% positive. If we deny it, they could still come back with it.
I do.
That's what
I
he
feel
was saying.
comfortable with that. They could do that for sure.
Because it's a significant enough change from the original action, so it's not basically the same thing. I understand that.
Yes, sir.
How do we make a motion to get them to withdraw, or what do we do?
I don't think we get to do
They
that
just
motion. I
withdraw?
think they have to do it. I just say, I don't think I think we're kind of an impasse, so I think that's where it probably needs to roll, but
I think either one, if we deny it right now, or you deny it right now, then they have the option to come back with that conditional district if they so choose. If they withdraw, then they would be able to come back with either one, a general rezoning or the conditional. It would leave both of those options available.
Mr. Chairman,
yes, sir, Mr. Moore.
if I might, there is another option. You could table this tonight, give the applicant a month's time to consider options, give you some more time to chew on it, and then we could be back in here in a month's time to come to some resolution.
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Fraley, seconded by Commissioner Worley. Any discussion?
We need to close the public hearing.
It's just meaningless stuff. I will now close the public hearing, and we will take a motion by Commissioner Fraley, seconded by Commissioner Worley. Any discussion? All in favor? The item has been tabled until further discussion. If you want to get with them, and we'll work on that to get some things.
We'd just like to say it's nice to have Mr. Moore back.
Chuck getting his money's worth this month. Thank you. This concludes our tonight's public hearings. The next item on the agenda is items approval of the business agenda. For any revisions to the business agenda that wish to be pulled, I want to pull one just for, well, not pull it, but I want to make sure we discuss it. Everyone for the Senator James Forrester, want to recognize that as the applicants who went through, and also for the viewing pleasure of the board somewhere. There was a thank you letter that was given to all, so I didn't want to. No items were pulled. Do I hear approval of the business agenda with no items pulled?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Hovis, seconded by Commissioner Worley. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Approval of the minutes. You were provided the draft minutes for the regular meeting of 6/25. Are there any revisions? Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes as presented? Motion made by Commissioner Worley, seconded by Commissioner Fraley. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. No items were added. Sorry, too many pages in here. Approval of the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion made by Commissioner Hovis, seconded by Commissioner Keeger. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Items pulled, none. Items added, none. Appointments, Commissioner Fraley.
I have one tonight, Mr. Chairman, Council on Aging, Home and Community Care Block Grant Advisory Committee, Christy Holmes.
Motion made by Commissioner Fraley, seconded by Commissioner Worley. All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Commissioner Worley.
No appointments.
Commissioner Johnson.
I have two appointments, one to the Animal Care and Enforcement Advisory, Renee Coleman, and Juvenile Crime Prevention, Bill Melton.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hovis. All in favor? Unanimous, Madam Clerk. Commissioner Hovis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have one appointment tonight. It's to the Child Fatality Prevention Team. Application I have received from Catherine O'Kane.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Kieger. All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Commissioner Kieger.
Appoint Deanna Murphy to the Workforce Development Board.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hovis. All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. I have two reappointment requested by Philip McGinnis to the Travel and Tourism Board and the Health and Human Services. Application received from Aduke Chifu.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hovis. All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. That was pretty good by me. Reports, Commissioner Fraley.
None, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Worley. No report. Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Hovis.
I have no report, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Kieger.
No report.
And I have none. County Manager's report. Mr. Roten.
No report tonight.
Guess who's next? The County Attorney, Mr. Moore.
I have to make the exception to the rule. If I could ask for a quick, really quick closed session under 143, 318.11, A3 and A5 to consult with the attorney and to discuss some terms of employment for the county attorney.
Motion made by Commissioner Worley, seconded by Commissioner Hovis. All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. We're now in closed session. Sorry about the brief delay. We have now back in open session. We have to make a motion to come out of closed session? Motion to close the closed session? Motion to come out of the closed session. Motion made by Commissioner Worley, seconded by Commissioner Hovis. All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. No action items were taken during the closed session, and today I will make a motion to ratify the contract of Matt Roden to the county manager's.
I would make the motion that we ratify the contract.
Motion made by Commissioner Worley, seconded by Commissioner Hovis. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. Action item to appoint Chuck Moore as the interim county attorney. Do I have a motion? Motion made by Commissioner Fraley, seconded by Commissioner Hovis. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Madam Clerk. No other matters are really here, so this concludes our meeting for tonight. Our next work session is Tuesday, August 13th, 6 p.m. here in the Harley B. Gaston Jr. Public Forum. Thank you for watching. If any questions, please remit those to Donna S. Buff at 704-866-3196. Good night, trailers.
She's still the clerk, or?